So the American people voted for Trump and Trump Republicans to run the legislative and executive branch of government. And the first thing that they do is nominate someone who didn't like Trump and bypass the American people's voice, who majority wanted someone like Rick Scott, a true American first Republican. But they nominated John Thune, a known anti-Trumper who tried to trick Americans by passing a border bill that had funding for Ukraine.
Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Would you support him?
Well, I'm hoping, Leanne, to have other options.
So that raises eyebrows for us, but I'm not going to give a poor approval rating for someone who hasn't done their job yet. But let's be all aware who we might need to deal with. But speaking of eyebrows being raised, Trump made probably the best decision by nominating Trump loyalist Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. I'm super happy with his decision, but I'll get into that in a sec. But because the Senate is the chamber that confirms the president's appointments, the Rhino Republicans are voicing concerns over him, of course. Senator Susan Collins said she was shocked by the nomination and expected Gaetz would face a grueling confirmation hearing, while Senator Lisa Murkowski said he was not a serious contender for the job. Senator Tom Tillis said, "I have very few skills. Vote counting is one, and I think he's got a lot of work to get 50. Senator Joni Ernst says, "I think he's got his work cut out for him." Here's why they are all wrong about Matt Gaetz. So he started off as a lawyer and a state representative that made national headlines for defending Florida's stand your ground law that allows citizens to use deadly force against certain violent crimes. This runs contrary to laws like duty to retreat, where you're essentially not allowed to defend yourself, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. When he became a congressman, he single-handedly ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy to not agree on what he campaigned for when he ran as speaker, like voting on single-issue bills and not shoving multiple things in a bill, and this prevented inflationary spending. He also constantly goes viral for calling out Biden's goons to their face.
I have other questions. I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI
well,
does not has no interest in
you won't answer the
protecting
question
anyone
about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you. You preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history. People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
Yeah, I know, super motivating stuff, but the reason I find Matt a total hoot is that he unapologetically speaks his mind, and this is the reason why the liberals are in full panic mode.
It's just pure ugliness, and I see that ugliness on the inside, I see it on the outside. You know, even in the horrible circumstance where an abortion may happen, it is nothing to celebrate, and it is nothing to cheer.
Mm-hmm. Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
It's literally one of my favorite clips of all time, but I don't think the congressman that slept with a Chinese spy is having a good time with this one.
It's not going to happen. I know that's a different take than anyone else's, but it's not going to happen. And so if the president-elect wanted to amuse us today during these dark times, I will give him credit for having a sense of humor, because I didn't think he had a sense of humor, but this shows that he might have a sense of humor. Puff Daddy, Diddy, may be cheering in his cell for this, but no one else in America is asking for this. And I have more confidence than you probably would think I should have that the Senate is never going to let this see the light of day.
And on Monday, Trump made clear that he'll use the recess appointments. Do you not believe him, or do you not think that Matt Gaetz is eligible for a recess appointment?
I believe that such an unserious appointment like this, by appointing somebody who clearly would abuse the power at the Department of Justice, has to move senators to not allow a recess appointment, because this would just wreak chaos on the American criminal justice system. So again, I don't want people to get too spun up about this. I don't want to ruin how this is going to end. But the spoiler alert is Matt Gaetz is not going to be the Attorney General.
Yeah, threat to democracy, yada, yada, yada. But unfortunately for all these whiny rhinos and Democrats, they know it's a serious appointment. And if I were them, I'd be deeply concerned too, because I wouldn't want Matt Gaetz in your crosshairs if he can risk his political career taking out the House Speaker that was technically on his side. We have a 53-42 majority in the Senate right now, and remember, J.D. Vance can have the tie-breaking vote, so we expect as voters to see this appointment through because Trump nominated him, and he will be a force to be reckoned with. And if you take a look at this long list of Republicans and Democrats who voted yes for Merrick Garland to be Attorney General, why wouldn't they vote yes on Matt Gaetz? Makes you wonder.